Greetings from the land of film noir in the afternoon. Hello Benefit Spongers, welcome to this week's Q&A and update video. And I've got an update for you. Yeah? Say hello to my little friend. That's right, I've made a bloody wall thing. You probably won't notice a massive difference in the sound on this because of the fact that I've got a similar contraption around my microphone at the moment, which is what I use now for doing main VO stuff. That was gifted to me kindly by a friend of mine who's leaving London, who traded me for a bottle of vodka. But that should hopefully mean that I'm actually quite far away from the microphone now, because there's less reverb on that, which means you're not going to hear me breathing and you're not going to hear me, gulping, etc., as you did last week. So that's good. I mean, it means that the only thing you've got to contend with right now is the fact that I look bizarre because of the sun. There's nothing I can do about that, I'm sorry. But chances are the room will probably go really dark or look like a ghost at some point. Anyway, this is going to be really good because of the fact that basically for the podcast, which I'm currently recording in this room, it's going to make a huge difference to the quality of the sound because there's going to be a hell of a lot less reverb. It's not going to completely kill the reverb, but it will take a chunk of it out. And I think, to be honest, that's all it needs to be done. I don't really mind a bit of echo. The problem is that when you start doing noise reduction, you start leveling things out, having an echo in the background, the echo gets brought up with it. This is really technical, boring sound stuff. But the important thing to note is that this is now a thing, which is good. And actually, I'll just talk about it a little bit because I know that a lot of people on Twitter were asking me questions about it. So I thought I'd just give you some tips on how I made it. Basically, what I've done is I've bought a kind of very standard room divider. Now, you can get larger ones than this. You can get ones that are like 6 panels instead of 3. I wouldn't advise that for a reason that I'll explain in a minute. Basically, what I've done then is I've bought some just classic Velcro tape. And actually, all of this, I'll put links to Amazon links to all of this stuff in the description. I'll probably put an affiliate link in there because why not? If you have a problem with that, then there's my disclosure. And if you don't want to use my affiliate link, then you can just Google it, I suppose. But anyway, the stuff I went for isn't necessarily the best stuff. It's the stuff that was on Amazon Prime because my dad still buys it and lets me use his, so awesome. And I just wanted to get it done and get it here all at once. So there may be slightly better things. And actually, I've gone for this sort of like this ridged horizontal line. Apparently, some people say that the pyramid setup is better, but I don't know. I mean, I did some research on it, but to be honest, the language they were using was way over my head. So I just sort of thought, this will be fine. But anyway, what I've done is I've basically used some tiny cubes of this, tiny squares, not cubes, of this Velcro tape and just pinned each one up with 4. The idea originally was that I could then maybe take them off for storage, but I don't know. I mean, technically I would be able to take them off, but I think because of the fact that the room divider I've bought is made of kind of solid paper, it's like reinforced paper, I think it wouldn't really I think the give on the Velcro might actually be tougher than the give on the paper. So pulling it off may be a permanent thing. But it seems to work really well just because of the fact that the foam things are so light that actually a couple of like 4 little tiny things of Velcro is enough to keep it all well in place. The only thing I would point out though actually with this is this one I got, the one I'll link to, is big enough for 12 squares. So basically, that's the box of things I bought has like 24. So I actually had twice as many as I needed. But what I've actually done with it, I'll show you. The thing is, when I was going to do this originally, the idea was, and I haven't really broken this to my girlfriend yet, so hopefully she'll be cool with it. But the idea was that I'd be able to fold it up completely. And obviously I knew it wouldn't be a perfect fold, but I thought it might be able to squish it in, and just shove it somewhere. That isn't going to happen, just because of the fact that when you actually put these things back to back, it's just not going to happen at all. So that's something worth bearing in mind. What I'd say is maybe if you did want to make one of these and you wanted it to fold, something that might work, and I haven't tested this, so I don't know, but it might work if you were to alternate. So if you have one here and then one here and then one here, then it won't it won't fold cleanly because of the nature of the hinge. It doesn't leave any room to begin with. But you'd probably be able to squish it together a bit more, although obviously you would have to get the lines on that just right. But that, if you really needed to, as it stands, that's just not going to fold. However, also, it's worth noting that this model, the hinges don't go both ways, which is kind of good for stability maybe, but at the same time it means you can't curve it round every corner and you can't fold it the other way. So that's a bit annoying. I mean, maybe I could... I've just realised if I really wanted to, I probably could reverse the hinges and make it curve around. I might do. We'll see. I'll see how I go on. But actually, what I've done at the moment, you'll see this. I'll show you. Is so this one folds around this way, and then what I've actually done is I've put it on the back. So I've done. So you probably can't see my head, but I can see the screen. So this side is this side remains blank, and then this one is it folds over, and it means that that bit on the back should hopefully add just a tiny bit more, just a bit of reverb grab, and also, yeah, it means it folds up to be quite neat, and it folds up to be, it means I can just shove it somewhere, but yeah, it's still going to be about that big. I haven't actually, I mean, it's difficult. Oh God, the light on my face is distracting me. God knows what it's like for you. I'll try and keep my face in the shadow. Well, you might just have to not look at me or something. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Yeah. Basically, I think it's going to help a lot. I mean, this room's really big. I'm not really going to be using this room for podcasting that much longer. I'm ordering my desk. Luxury. I'm ordering a desk this week, which should arrive next week. And then basically I'll be moving into the room next door, which is a lot smaller, but that's actually good because I don't really need this much room and it's a bit silly. So in here, it's already killed a bit of the reverb, which is good. And hopefully you'll notice a difference on this week's Daft Souls podcast. But from next week onwards, or at the very latest, the week after, you should notice a dramatic difference because I think this in that room is just going to really kill any kind of echo. So yeah, if you are a podcaster, the only thing I can't recommend based on this is I don't know what the stability is going to be like. I built it in about an hour. It didn't take very long. One of the things, the advantages of this particular model of room divider thing is the fact that because it's made of kind of a wicker that's interlaced, you actually got like almost guidelines. So that's really helpful in terms of like making sure everything's lining up because you can, yeah, it's all, there are lines as part of the design. So yeah, don't know how long it'll last, but it seems really good. And I think it cost in total about 70 quid, which I think is pretty decent. And it doesn't look terrible. I think if you get it right and you do it, make it look, it doesn't look terrible. Anyway, that's a little update on that, and I'll move on to some other stuff. Okay, I tried to juggle some stuff around, sit in a different position, so I'm not got the sun, but couldn't find one. So I'm just going to carry on. Apologies if I look like a crazy zebra man from the future. A little update for you guys. This is quite a cool one. Is the fact that I finally worked out what I'm doing with this FTL video. I hadn't really said this, but what I was struggling with the FTL thing, I mentioned the fact that I had the tech idea, but I had lots of logistical problems with the video, which I couldn't get my head around. And the long and short of that problem was, A, I wasn't sure I could think of enough jokes that would be immediately and obviously funny on their own. And B, this is a much bigger one, I couldn't work out a way to tie the jokes together, right? Because the problem is, like, a classic thing with editing is you can't really just jump from one scene to the same scene. I do it sometimes, and it's very lazy. But if you have any kind of transition which is just one scene to the same scene, it just doesn't fit right. And so what I've been trying to toy with is because I've got this like CGI spaceship I'm sitting in, it's like, well, either I have to get another scene and then use that somehow, or I am really just going, here's a sketch about FTL, fade wipe or wipe to here's another sketch about FTL in exactly the same location. It's like, I couldn't work out what the glue was to hold it together. And I couldn't work out a way of having it being anything other than just a series of very loosely collected mini sketches. And also I thought some of the jokes are like really brief. Some of them are like 4 or 5 seconds long, maybe 10 seconds tops. Anyway, the long and short of it is I've worked out, obviously, as is often the way, the solution was so obvious. The solution was right under my nose. And the solution is just quite simply, I was going to create this FTL primer video, which is going to basically be talking about what FTL is, why it's good, what's good about it, maybe what's bad about it sometimes, and then what the expansion, how the expansion makes it better, and how some of the mods make it better, and just overall as a game. And I realized that so many of the jokes I want to make about it, some of them are just generic sci-fi jokes, and I'll work out what I do with them. It might just be that I have one or two quite good generic sci-fi jokes at the end as sort of almost bloopers thing. But I thought merging the two was the smartest idea. So talking about FTL, showing some of the game, but then in between, when I want to illustrate a point about something, I can actually then have a little skit, a little joke bit. And I also thought that one of the nice things to do is I thought, well, other than having a second whole scene, sorry, I'm just scratching my back. Oh, lovely. Other than having another whole scene, I thought I could just have somebody talking to me on the communications. So I haven't actually heard back from him yet, but I'm should be seeing him tonight. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping to get Quentin Smith to be my ensign, just because I've got, those of you who watch Shut Up and Sit Down will know I've already got experience being on Space Captain and giving him hell. So I thought it'd be funny to do that, just to have him over the comms and me just going, yeah. So I think that'll be really nice. I mean, it's a bit of a weird one because the fact it's like, well, you know, FTL's been out for a long time. Do you really need a video talking about FTL and just why it's good and stuff? Well, I sort of think, well, maybe not. But I hope that what I'll be able to do is create a video which will do both. We'll suit the needs of both. One, it will be a video explaining why FTL's fun, why people like it, why you should maybe check it out. And B, also kind of critiquing the game a little bit and being like, this is a bit bad, this is bad, but you know, da-da-da. And then also the main thing being like in between having something that's actually really funny. So hopefully it won't feel compromised. Hopefully it will feel like something where the both halves support each other on their own, and it'll be something that hopefully people who like FTL will enjoy watching it, even though I'm sometimes talking about things that they'll know about, and people who haven't seen FTL will get a feel for what the game is like and also get something funny. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. It's going to take a little bit longer to make because of that, because I will need to get the audio from Quinn's and then basically like know how long the audio bits from him are going to be, and then I can leave appropriate length gaps in my dialogue when I'm in the ship. But other than that, once I've got that, it should all come together reasonably quickly. And the ship itself is coming along quite nicely as well. I haven't actually done a major amount of work to it. It was kind of pretty much finished. So I just need to touch up a few bits and bobs on that. But yeah, it should be good. I hope you guys enjoy it. Other than that, yeah, everything's going pretty good. I'm carrying on. I'm very close to the end of Dark Souls 2. I think I'm going to do that this weekend. Anyway, that's a mega update on what I've been working on this week. But I'm going to actually just go straight to the questions rather than talking about this stuff forever. So, there's going to be lots of hold music because I always have to find questions, because obviously there are other things, just people talking about things. My God. Chris McKay, that we did actually talk about, it's already on the page, but he says a lot of YouTubers have fallback plans in the event of YouTube falling apart. Do you have a fallback plan? It's like, this is the plan. I can see already that YouTube is potentially going to fall apart, and it's already become almost impossible to get into it if you're not one of the big players already. So that's why I'm doing this, because it's just like I was teetering on the edge of YouTube for a long time. When I was working at Video Gamer, I was starting to get into it, and it was the point at which I was invited on the Co-optional podcast with Mr. Total Biscuit, who hopefully is feeling better, on the mend at least. I don't know if he's, all the best to that guy. It's very sad to hear that he's suffering from stuff, but very good that he's talking about it. He's checking out his video on, actually. He's been very, I think it's an audio thing actually, but he's been very open about talking about his experiences with colonic cancer, which I think is important, because a lot of people are so freaked out by this sort of thing, they don't ever think about realizing that sometimes you got to get yourself checked out if you think something's really wrong. Anyway, that's quite a diversion. But yeah, I think it was around that time, both in terms of the conversations I had with John on that podcast, and also just generally me getting a feel for the way it is. I was like, God, this isn't sustainable. And there goes the sun, and there comes Creepy Matt. Okay. Let's get for another notch. If the sun comes out again in a minute, I'm going to be pissed off. Another good thing about me moving next door to my office is the sun in the afternoon is not facing the same way, which means I don't have to worry about this being a ghost, etc. So yeah, long story short, it's fine. I mean, that's why I'm not using YouTube's monetization thing. And actually, I will say, that's why I find it funny sometimes people go, oh, I'm unsubscribing. It's like, it doesn't really matter. Like, I mean, obviously I don't want people to unsubscribe, but I'm not running on an economy where I need lots of subscribers. So it's kind of, I find it amusing when people are kind of like throwing it up to me to be a threat and being like, hey, you buddy, I'm going to unsubscribe for your channel. It's like that. You don't, if you understood more about what my channel was, then you'd understand that that isn't really something that I'm bothered about. So it's sort of, it makes me happy whenever I see that, because it means like, oh, okay, somebody who was actually leaving, who mattered, like probably wouldn't say that because they would know that it's not relevant. So if people were like saying, I'm not watching your stuff anymore and I'm not supporting your stuff anymore, whatever, that would be different. But yeah, when people say unsubscribe, it's like, you think I'm playing that game. You think I'm playing the YouTube game, but I'm not. I'm just using YouTube because it still remains a very good platform for video. However, it's a final update actually on, just before I carry on with the questions. Apologize for the big update this week, but this is a little message. I'll show it up on the screen now. It's a message I posted on the video I made, I think, about Nintendo and the way that they responded to a lot of the conversations about gay relationships in Tomodachi Life. And I've got to say, actually, like a lot of people pointed out, and I did actually post a comment saying I did actually make a mistake at the start of that video, and I've put an annotation up. Yeah, I've done everything I can to try and make that clear, but there was a factual error at the start of that video about the original glitch. The long and short of it is I don't think that the mistake I made has a major impact on the video I made, because of the fact that the major point I was trying to make was that it wasn't about whether or not gay marriage and gay relationships were in the game. It was Nintendo's reaction, the way they reacted, and they mishandled it, but they have since apologized. Anyway, the message I brought up on the screen is basically just to point out that this is what this is kind of the rule set for my channel and the way it works. I mean, I share this on Twitter as well, but I thought I'd just show you this, guys. I mean, really, I think I'm going for, my friend Martin described it as that he's like the nightclub system of, basically it's like, as far as I'm concerned, what I'm doing is a nightclub, but it's a nightclub with like the most relaxed entry door system in the world. Like anyone can come in, but if you misbehave, then you just get thrown out straight away. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys and make that clear. I mean, I think in the future I may well actually make a video, because if it does get to the point where my YouTube channel gets bigger, I think I might. I want to do my best to try and keep that toxic community element out of it. So I think if I do see any kind of explosive growth at any point, I think I'll put that quite high on my list to just be like, hey guys, don't want to be a dick, but these are the rules, and if you break the rules, then you're out. Because I find it really interesting. Lots of people are like, oh, no, it's, rights and stuff. You can't do this. And it's like, no, I can do whatever I like. And this is what I'm going to do. So hopefully you'll appreciate that. If you don't, as ever, refunds are available. Anyway, questions. Oh, it's got bloody dark again. Bum, bum, bum. That's making it darker. Okay. Luke Russell asks, there's a bit of a technical question, but he's always wondered, and he says, oh, I totally understand if you can't answer, but he basically always wondered what it's like to review a game at OXM UK and give it a different score to another OXM magazine. He's talking about the fact that obviously, like, when I worked at OXM UK, we would review games, and then the OXM US would also review games. I think the difference was, really, we would review games differently and we'd give them different scores, but OXM had a different logo to OXM US. Like we had a different, it said Xbox, the official magazine, but they had different logos. And yeah, I think sometimes if it was a UK review, they'd say OXM UK. It got a bit confusing, admittedly, but there wasn't really any communication between that. I remember we did have some embarrassing situations. I can't remember any specifics. I'm not being political here. I just don't remember. But I remember there were some situations when it was like, I'd reviewed something and given something a really low score, and then the US had reviewed it and it being like, oh, fucking hell, the US have given it a 9. They'd be like, 9? What the fuck is wrong? And, differing opinions are always good and stuff, but occasionally you have games where you're like, what the fuck? How can anyone give that game a 9? But now it's changed, because I think now the entire OXM magazine worldwide is run from the UK office, just the UK editorial team, because they've very, very recently shut them down. So yeah, I think basically, he says that how do they figure out which one to use on advertising? I guess the publishers would just use the ones that were the highest scores. I don't think there's any system other than that, really. Sam Gregg asks, he he carries on from what I was saying in the past, saying that some pieces of Fallout New Vegas DLC were really impressive. Old World Blues is amazing, as I said. I fucking love Old World Blues. He asked me if I got any thoughts on Lonesome Road. I can't remember if I played Lonesome Road or not. I think I played one that was like Hearts and something. I played some of the Fallout New Vegas DLC and I wasn't that impressed by it. But Old World Blues really impressed me. I thought it was just incredibly strong. But he says, what constitutes good DLC in your opinion? You know, I think the secret with DLC is just to make it fit your game. And I think there's nothing that particularly makes good DLC or not. I think you just got to look at what your game is and go, what does this need? Like, if we're gonna make more of this, does it just need more? Do we need like another narrative chunk? Do we need just additional characters? Often, I don't like it when people just add like weapon packs and stuff and skin packs. I think that's pretty lame. But sometimes if that's a valuable thing that people want, okay. But I mean, I think it's better when you have stuff like the new FTL expansion, which was free, which added new weapons, but also new mechanics, and also the two intertwined. It was sort of like, it made the game better. And obviously, I think the ultimate expansion for me is probably Enemy Within, the XCOM one, because I've only, as you'll see throughout my ongoing Sponge Squad videos, I have got to a stage now where I'm really appreciating that game again. It's such a good game. I think I hadn't, even though I reviewed Enemy Within and gave it a really high score when I was at Video Gamer, I'm only just now realizing that, that was it's one of those nice moments where you go, yeah, my review was right. I wasn't wrong about that, because I hadn't played it for I can't remember how long I played it for. A decent chunk of time, but something like XCOM, it takes a long time to get a grip for it. And that's why reviewing games is kind of a head fuck. That's the Lost Woods music from Zelda. Jack Patterson, he says, he's coming back with what I was talking about last week about doing the possibility of doing my abridged stuff for somebody else. And yeah, a lot of people say I don't mind that. A couple of people have, suggested alternative means and stuff. I've got to say, it's not like, this isn't about me being like, I need the money. I think I'm actually I'm in a really comfortable position right now. I'm really lucky to be in the position I'm in. So it's not like me going, oh God, I really need to sell these to get more money. It's just me thinking, well, actually, if somebody's willing to pay me this dosh for it and they're going to be exactly the same and I can link to them on my Patreon page, is that so bad? Would it not be better to take the cash? Mainly because I sort of think, well, if I take the cash, then it means that then I have to do less work in the future, which means I don't have to, if something else comes up and I think, well, I do need some money actually now, it means no, I can actually have that money in the bank, which means I can then continue spending more time making Patreon stuff, if you get what I mean. Good God, I look like a fucking horrible zebra made of light from the future. I need a cap or something, a hat. I need a hat. Have I got a hat? I think I've got a hat somewhere. I'm going to try and find a hat. There we are, an actual fedora, not a trilby. A lot of the fedora stuff going around the internet, people always say fedoras. They're not really wearing fedoras. They're wearing trilbies. And a trilby is a pretty shit hat, but for the classic fedora. This was a prop I bought when I was at OXM to do a LA Noire skit. I think it was my first few weeks of OXM, and then we didn't really do much more stuff. It's a great shame. But I bought it, and I never actually expensed it back to Future, which means I actually popped into Future probably just a few months ago and said, where's my fedora? I'm taking it. Because I've no doubt in the future, good Lord, my hair. I've no doubt in the future I will make another skit or spoof that will require a fedora. Anyway, it's keeping the sun out of my eyes, which hopefully makes me look a bit less frightening anyway. I apologise if you hate my hat. Anyway, yeah. Basically, that's the long and short of that thing with what I was talking about is, he's also asking about whether or not I'm civvy with Civilization, if there's any sort of multiplayer ventures in the pipeline for the channel. I don't know, maybe. I mean, as I've said in the past, I'm getting a bit too caught up with series-based stuff, so I mean, wanting to kind of focus more on one-off things, maybe collaborations, we'll see. But yeah, we'll see. And I mean, going back to the E3 Abridged as well, I don't know. I mean, I might just do it on my channel anyway, just because I sort of figure they're good fun. People will like them. I don't know. I I think sometimes you got to, I mean, I'm still in two minds. I haven't completely decided because I'm not entirely sure, but I think a lot of the time with these things, you've got to trust your gut. And my gut just goes, nah, man, just do it for your own channel. Just do it for your own channel. Like, so, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, the thing with that is it draws the question of being like, well, even if you're doing it for the right reasons, it's like, it's a slippery slope, you know? If I'm like, well, yeah, but I can earn some money from something else doing this, and then I can use that to support my main thing. It's like, yeah, but, you know, it's like if somebody came to me and said, oh, do you want to do a TV advert or something? Do you want to advertise this or something? Or like, do you want to do this advertorial video for a mobile phone or something? I'd be like, well, if somebody was going to offer me like a big chunk of money to do something that would take a day or two, then you sort of think, well, maybe I should do that. And then I'll be able to spend loads more time doing the stuff that I like doing without having to worry about it. But then it is a slippery slope, because then it's like, yeah, but is that okay? And like, if you do it once, is it okay to do it once but not twice? It just feels like the whole thing gets super fucking fuzzy. And I know most people don't even think about this shit, but I guess I do, and I always have. I don't know. I'm just like that. Yeah. Anyway, Ben Syme, actually, he just pretty much talks about exactly the same questions before. However, he says, I didn't like Crisis Core. I didn't like Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core on the PSP for one simple reason, and that was because it felt like by being a sort of sequel to, or a prequel, I can't remember, to Final Fantasy VII, it tried to make the world bigger, but actually it made the world smaller, because you kept bumping into the same characters, and like everyone you met in that game was a character that you met in Final Fantasy VII, and it made the world, it made the world feel smaller, because it made you feel like, oh shit, like when I was Cloud, I pretty much met everyone in this town. I didn't like that. I thought it didn't really expand the world for me, and I think Final Fantasy games, the good ones anyway, are more about the world. I don't, you know, I remember the characters a bit, but it's more about the places you go to. Sorry, my phone's going mental. It's all right. It's just my girlfriend talking about lasagna, and Quentin Smith talking about meeting me this evening. Hooray! Okay. And he also says, a lot of people have actually said, have you played Xenoblade Chronicles? I'd love to play Xenoblade Chronicles, although I don't have a Wii anymore. But I'd love to play it, because I've heard it's really good. Anyway. Jordan makes a good point, actually, regarding the whole E3 abridged thing, of basically, like, it makes it more difficult to find the videos. If you want them all in one place, then because he said Mega 64 did some stuff for IGN, they weren't any different, just more difficult to find. Yeah, I think the thing is, if it was on a different platform, I mean, that's the annoying thing about the stuff I do for The Escapist, is the fact that because it's not on YouTube, it's really difficult for me to link it. Whereas I think if I did do some videos for another channel on YouTube, I'd probably be able to make a playlist on my channel, so it wouldn't be too bad. But I think, yeah, if something like IGN, I think obviously I know they have their own video player and stuff, that is going to be a fucker down the line. But yeah, I mean, I might even be able to come up actually with some sort of, I don't know, I might be able to talk to the guy who's doing it and just have some sort of agreement, perhaps, where the guy who's offering me, actually, that could work really well. I've just realized I could have something maybe where they go up and then they're up for like a week or something, and then afterwards I put them on my channel as well. So the ones he's done, the ones I've done for him get all the views, but if anyone just wants to watch them on my channel, they can. That would feel like quite a elegant solution. I'll think about that. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. It's boring. I might just give up doing the Q&A and just fucking sing songs. Right. Joachim. Good name. He talks about what I was talking about last week with London being too crowded, etc. He says, this is totally unrelated to games, but to avoid commuting, do you cycle? I find it's by far the best way to get around London. I do. Although I haven't been cycling much lately, because my bike is in the cellar. But I'm going to try and get it up. And yeah, I need to like work out a place. I need to work out a place I can get at it more easily, because I miss cycling. I used to cycle a lot. My girlfriend's a fucking genius. As soon as I moved in, she was just like, okay, well, yeah, let's put your bike in the cellar. I was like, And it was like, I was like, came with this massive old hi-fi and speakers being like, yeah, these speakers are broken, but I'm going to fix them. I'm going to fix them, and then I'm going to have them, and they're going to be really good. And she's like, okay, cool. Well, I've put them in this bag. We'll put them in the cellar. It's like, you're a genius. You immediately know that when I say I'm going to fix these, it means I probably won't do it for about 3 years, considering they had been in my last house broken for about 5 years. But yeah, the bike is coming out again, just because I bloody love it, and I hate the tube. Okay. Here's a heavy question here from Kenneth Sharp. Spurred by a question from the last video about the effects of violence upon a player, how do you feel about games' attitudes to violence, especially attitudes to killing? Do games have a duty to examine the violence of the world and subsequent possible mental health problems? Most games feature people killing other people, largely without consequence. Some games go as far to tell us the protagonist is a monster. Yeah, I mean, basically, this is an interesting question. I think it's something that actually, it is. I don't think it's a moral problem. I think it's a narrative problem, and the fact that at the moment, like, there's a real tendency for games to want to try and show us this really meaningful stories with characters and make us feel attached to the characters. And often we find that when we have games where they have good stories and good characters, there's this weirdly jarring thing. It's like the uncanny valley for characters, almost, for like, not characters, personalities, where it's like, this character, my bloody camera's about to run out of battery. This is a pain in the ass because my last battery just ran out as well. I'll try and carry on, but it may stop abruptly. So yeah, it's bad because you have games like Uncharted 2, which had a great story and great characters, but then it's like, and the first Uncharted as well, where it's just like, you just kill fucking tons of people, dude. Tomb Raider, another one, you know, she cries and screams about having murdered a man, then proceeds to kill fucking hundreds of them. It's almost like, most of the time we don't question it, but I think when games actually do a decent job of trying to tell a story, it becomes really odd and jarring, and it's a narrative problem. And I think that the Last of Us gets away with it because of the fact that it spends so much of the exposition explaining why he's a bloody nutter and why he's really effective at killing things. So it doesn't seem jarring with the story. But I think if we want to actually start telling stories in games and having good characterization, then we need to ditch that. We need to, we maybe need to have games that aren't about killing people as much. But the problem is, it's a really satisfying mechanic, you know, shooting things in the head. It's not just the violence, I don't think. I think it's a nice system, you know. It's a fun, rewarding thing of having to move and aim and hit things and different things doing different things. And yeah, I mean, it kind of works. All right, I'm gonna have to wrap this up because my camera is about to die and because I spent ages doing an update rather than a Q&A. So don't bother asking many questions in the comments for this video because I'm going to go back and do some more from last week next week. So you can do if you want, but bear in mind they might just get lost into the ether. Anyway, I'll have one more question, and it might cut off halfway through, in which case it will be comical and not unprofessional. And this question is, Craig Lister, I'm really enjoying your Game of Thrones Abridged videos you're doing with Escapist, and I was wondering, will you continue to do those videos for future seasons, or does your contract with them end with the end of Season 4? My contract with them does end at the end of Season 4. I think I have a contract in play that says if I end up doing an Abridged series which is to do with a TV show or film, that I will offer it to them first. I'm not sure if I'll carry on working with them or not, to be honest. It's quite a time sink, and it doesn't really do me as much good as it should have to for that, you know? Yeah, I mean, it was something I agreed to before I'd started doing the Patreon thing, because I wanted some work, and I was scared that I wouldn't have any work, and I was scared that I would be absolutely fucked. So I took it. And it's not a bad deal. I like the Escapists. I like the people who work for the Escapists. They've been very good to me. They've been very, very helpful. I like them, but I'm not sure it's really working out. We'll see. We'll see. I think basically it seems to me that the Escapist community, what they like is they like very opinionated, very bitey stuff. And I do that from time to time. I do, but I don't know if I want to do that like as me. I'm not sure if I want to be one of those guys as my persona. And obviously if I was going to continue doing something with them, it'd probably be a weekly show in which I was very snarky and bitey, and I don't know. I do that when I need to, but I don't want to be just that, in the same way that I don't want to be just comedy man. And I think it would make me quite bitter. I think if I was spending all my time making videos about why things are a bit shit, then I think I'd end up being a bit jaded and bitter. But he does also ask, he says, If it does continue, would you consider doing them on your own channel? I can't, unfortunately. And that's actually one of the main reasons I contacted The Escapist and thought that Game of Thrones Abridged would be a good fit for them, is because of the fact that due to UK laws, I'm not allowed to do that, basically. Like, UK parody laws still don't exist. They're supposed to be coming through this year, but as I know, they still don't exist. Which means if I was to make a parody video of a television show or a film, I would be breaking copyright laws. And that's cut and dry. If I said it's a parody, doesn't matter. The loophole with The Escapist is because they're an American company. Technically, it would probably go to the people hosting the content first, and they'd say, take that down, and then they'd be able to probably legally say, well, we're an American website, American parody laws allow this. I mean, technically, it could come back to me, but it kind of feels like it probably wouldn't. Whereas I don't think I'd actually get in trouble for putting them on my own YouTube channel. It just means if somebody says, that's HBO content, take it down immediately, and maybe even like take it down and we're putting a mark on your channel, I'm fucked. There's nothing I can do. Like, I've got no leg to stand on. I can't fill in the box and say, sorry, YouTube, but it's okay because I can't, because it isn't okay. It just isn't. So that's one of the reasons I did with The Escapist. But I don't know whether or not I will continue to work with them in the future. They have a very difficult community, not very malleable. And also, as a lot of people pointed out, it's a real fucker to watch their videos if you're not a member of the site. If you're a member of the site and paying them money, then you can watch the site on HTML5 and iPhones and all that stuff. But if you're not, then you can only watch on a PC, which is a pain. And you know what? Like, I don't know, with what I'm kind of doing, like, I don't really want to feel like I'm in a position where I want to be going, hey guys, you should spend $20 a year on The Escapist, because I'd rather you just gave me $1 instead and I'll make more stuff for you. You know what I mean? But there is a possibility of me making more like non-games content on this channel. We'll have to see how it goes. I like the idea of doing some cooking videos, but I'd be worried if I just started doing stuff like that and people are like, what the fuck, man, I paid you for game stuff. But we will see how it goes. But for now, everything's all good. Everything will continue to be good. And I'm going to take this hat off because it probably makes me look ridiculous, but probably not less ridiculous than David Bowie's light zebra man from the future. Oh, I'm floating in the most peculiar way. I'll see you next week. Bye!